Hello, welcome to day 4. I just had to check the date. Day 4 of our 19 days of June mindfulness live stream series. Um, I'm really happy that we are really getting into these. If you've been following along, or if you happen to be catching this one first for whatever reason, the more we are doing these, the more it feels so satisfying on a personal level, just kind of taking that pause myself in the process, like I am pausing with you and breathing with you or doing the mindful thing with you. But it also feels really satisfying because there's consistency and a pattern that my brain is really, really enjoying. Um, Without it being too strict on exactly when. So, if you have not met me before, you do not know me, my name is Jess Jash. I'm an embodied leadership coach specializing in areas around emotional intelligence, communication, stress management, emotional awareness, um, all of those things. So, I work with individuals in coaching capacities as well as in more VIP days and retreats, as well as with workplaces and teams with my Embodied Leaders Academy training, which is really the foundational work that we do in terms of teaching leadership from this perspective of self awareness. So that is me. That is what I do. If you haven't caught our previous days, that is okay. You don't have to do these in particular order. The order can help if that's how it helps for you. But if you are joining us today as is, then that's great. So I have mentioned that we can't do mindfulness or meditation wrong. It's normal for our brains to have to process or have to be busy, but we can't do it wrong. There's no perfection element of, oh, my brain needs to be perfectly quiet or anything like that. You also need to meet yourself where you're at rather than forcing, particularly with the breath, but anything embodiment wise, like everyone's going to have a different experience, right? So rather than forcing, um, exertion, I had to find the word there, but rather than forcing exertion or effort in the sense of strain on our system, let's use breathing as an example, rather than forcing the breath in a way that actually activates our systems more, we want to meet ourselves where we're at and just lean into the stretch. It's a bit like yoga, or even if you've never done yoga, if you've ever stretched before, realistically, I'm going to explain why I'm saying realistically. Realistically, we know we don't want to stretch to the point of snapping the muscles, right? Excuse me. Ooh, one moment. Excuse me. So, we don't want to stretch the muscles to the point of snapping, right? But what we also don't want to do is kind of not actually lean into the stretch, because then it's not stretching, to the point where it's hurting, to the point where they're not breathing properly, to the point where things aren't feeling good, and then they're holding their breath or they're catching their breath, and they might actually be in what we call pain. So we do this on the yoga mat, we do this when we're stretching. Let's practice, because we also do this in our everyday lives, where we might feel like, if I'm not going full ham, if I'm not doing it all, then there's not going to be any benefit. That is not true. And that is really the point of what I wanted to share today, because this is this another layer, another not even another perspective, but just another thing that you can look at if it resonates with you, is we don't need to push through in order to experience a benefit. So with our breath, because we're going to do just a little breathwork activity, an extension of what we've already been doing. But with our breath, if I'm breathing in to the point where my whole body tenses, and then I'm also breathing out to the point where maybe there's an anxiety or activation flare up in my belly where it's like, that where's the next breath going to come from? That's actually working against our system and what we're trying to do in terms of the nervous system and regulation. There are certainly different types of breathing activities for different purposes, but when we talk about the simplicity and the most effective ones, this is what we're talking about. So when we are breathing, you want to find your own cadence. You want to find your own level of stretch that you are at. Because when we're breathing, we don't want it to be like force or exertion, but you do want to stretch just a little bit beyond your natural breath, because that's how we gently and gradually and effectively actually start to extend that. So, whatever you may be doing, if you are driving and listening to this, obviously, please drive safely, pay attention to what you should be paying attention to. Do not close your eyes or anything like that. But you need to decide, because I don't know where you are right now as you're listening or watching this, but wherever you are at, we're going to drop into the breath. Today we've been working with that diaphragmatic breath and the equal breath, which is a really good coherent breath, one that helps bring our system into coherence. Today, we're going to explore the unequal breath. By that, I do not mean a longer inhale than exhale. That is very activating. What I do mean is our regular cadence, or that stretch cadence of the inhale, and then an exhale that either matches the inhale, if that's where you're at, or lengthens that exhale just a little bit longer than the inhale. So it's a slightly longer exhale than inhale. That is what we're working with. It is really useful to help calm and soothe, switching into the parasympathetic nervous state, which is that relaxed state, that nourishing state, that kind of yin restorative yoga kind of state, versus the sympathetic state, which is very useful for its own purposes, but which is more of the active state, right? So that's what we're doing. Wherever you are, if you want to and are able to lay down on your back, you might find this easier to tap into that diaphragmatic breath. You don't have to. You can practice however you are, wherever you are, whatever you are doing. Breathing in through your nose if that is accessible for you. Breathing in down towards the bottom of your lungs. Notice if your shoulders are lifting, see if you can send it a little deeper. And just exhaling, lengthen it, just the length of the inhale for the moment. We're going to start with that equal breath and then move into the unequal breath. So practicing breathing in, feeling your belly gently expand out of the way as your lungs expand downward. Exhaling, lengthen your breath to the same length. Next one, we're going to explore that longer exhale if that feels useful and best for you right now. So as you breathe in, filling up inhale, and this time, whatever that count of inhale was, exhale a count or two longer. Really letting yourself just find that. We're going to count down 5 breaths. So you go at your cadence. The number I am saying is the number of breaths, not the length of the breath, right? So as you breathe in, 5, out, 5, a little longer, in 4, out, 4, a little longer, in 3, out, 3, a little longer, in 2, out, 2, a little longer, in last 1, and out. And just see what that length of exhale is on this last one for you. Whenever that finishes, your natural breath return. Maybe using that practice of anchoring, squeezing your arms and legs, or sensation, noticing the feeling of any part of your body that is connected to something or touching something. See how that feels for you. That is our short, sweet, and simple little mindfulness practice for today, for day 4. Day 5 is already scheduled, so if you are joining live, you can see that schedule in the YouTube channel under live now, so you can line that up for you. Otherwise, the replay will always be available for you. If you are interested in working together in some way, whether it's with a team or a workplace or in a one-on-one capacity, I've included the booking link for a free consult. It is confidential, and it is purely so that you can find out the information. I can find out more about you, see if there's something that is useful for you to engage with together. So you can go ahead and book your time there if you would like. Otherwise, I will see you tomorrow.